Welcome back, everyone. Toy Shiz here, and I am back yet again for yet another Hasbro Marvel Legends news update. Today, they took to their YouTube channel, which, if you think back, it really hasn't happened for quite some time. It was kind of a nice return to form. You wake up on a Friday, you go, oh yeah, gotta look at some new Marvel Legends reveals. And I'm going to tell you, they did not disappoint. This was a really cool reveal day. Just one after another. Where I'm at with Marvel Legends collecting, animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, X-Men 97, Marvel vs. Capcom, X-Men in general. They did it. This is what I've been asking for. This is what I've been looking for. And they've included powers. There seems to be a lot more accessories, a lot more powers for these super powered type characters, which is most appreciative. They're finally going, oh yeah, that's what people want. Gotcha. Totally get it now. But as always, many thanks to Ryan, Dwight, and Dan. Like I said, they were on their YouTube Hasbro channel, and they are taking us through all of these new reveals. And there's quite a bit to talk about today. But as always, before we get started, if you are interested in anything we're talking about here, keep in mind, not everything will be available for pre-order as of this video, but it will, starting next week. I will have affiliate pre-order links down in the description below. So take you right to it, help you out. Amazon, GameStop, all the places where these will be available. Many thanks in using my links. It helps the channel to grow. So now to kick it off, there will be a brand new Spider-Man retro carded wave. The first figure is the female Electro. This is Francine Frye. I'll be honest with you, I even think Dan kind of goofed when he said who this character was, and then I thought, okay, that's who it is. It's basically just an accomplice of Electro, as far as I'm concerned, and she gets powers like Electro, and then she dies, and then the Jackal brings her back with that whole, again, we're doing the maximum clone. They brought back a whole ton of dead characters. It was bizarre, but I think that she's one of the clones that lived to tell another day, because I think it was like a 24-hour thing. You know, comics these days. But Francine Frye, Electro, comes with fisted hands. She's on the female body, looks to be pinless, and has some pretty wild electrical effects. That's what I like. That's the big standout. That's the powers that I'm talking about. That's what I want to see. So when you pose around, it looks like comic book stuff, and that's where I'm at with Marvel Legends. I want to see this type thing. So one of those characters where I'm like, cool, I'm glad you made her. It's totally different. I don't have a female Electro. It fits with the comic books. Sure, sign me up. That looks pretty darn cool. Next up, we have Spider-Boy. Now, the creator, Dan Slott, works on the comic books and everything else. He revealed this character, what was it, last week? They've kind of teased this. I'm going to be honest with you. I know precisely zero about Spider-Boy, other than the fact that it's a sidekick of Spider-Man from time to time, and it exists. Now, when they showed this head portrait, I did not know that. Did not know that that was a thing. So I'm learning. But that's where, when I first started collecting Toy Biz and Spider-Man figures and all that way back in the day, just because I didn't know who the character was, to get it in action figure form, it makes me go, I need to find out who this is now. So I need to do my research for when I get this wave, and I'll have more to talk about then. But it doesn't really do much for me, I'll be honest with you. It's just like, cool, I'm glad they made the character. Perhaps if I read up on it and really do some more research, yeah, that sounds fantastic. So he's got a couple head portraits, some hands, and I believe that's the backpack piece that goes on his back. I think that plugs in. Yeah, coming soon for the retro carded Spider-Man wave, we have Spider-Boy. Next up, this is something that, as you all probably may know by now, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man the animated series. And way back in the day, I was at Comic-Con, and this was shortly after Spider-Man the Animated Series had concluded, and I'd heard that they were going to be doing a sequel series, somehow, some way. It's probably Wizard Magazine. And then I heard that it's on display. It's at Comic-Con, and I ran all over the con, finally found it, and what it was a Marvel display, and they had some artwork up, some concept art of what certain characters in the show were going to be looking like. And they showed Spider-Man Unlimited, and what they were calling it. And I remember looking at it, they had the Green Goblin, which was just a mind F, and you watch the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a bonkers show. It's not my favorite, I'm going to be honest with you. Am I happy they're making this? Sure. Fantastic. It's kind of one of those where I don't really have, it's not real animosity. It's just like, ugh, that show. You know what I mean? I can't say it's my favorite by any means. I'll show you my figure that I quote unquote customized later from a previous Toy Biz figure from years back. I think there are certain elements, if you look at the artwork on the packaging especially, that are required to really make Spider-Man Unlimited look like the character on screen. That cartoon used very heavy blacks, and I think that when you don't have that, we'll say, cartoon cell shading to it, it makes it look weird, and it doesn't look right, and I think that's where this figure honestly is at. So, good. Take that, Spider-Man Unlimited, using the animated theme song to try and confuse us in the very first episode. You knew what you were trying to do. There's a whole history to it. Yes, I'll get this figure and we'll talk about it in depth and we'll have some fun chatting about it. But yes, as far as accessories go, extra hands, Spider-Man Unlimited is not my favorite of the wave, not my favorite in general in terms of a cartoon existing, but hey, for those of you that have been asking for it, most def, I'm happy that you are getting it. Anyway, Spider-Man Unlimited aside, this is one that has been on my list for quite some time. We are getting Marvel Legends Kaine from the 90s Maximum Clonage. He's this botched Peter Parker clone from the Jackal. This is awesome. He's got the brown hair. He has that purple scarf cape. All the weird, we'll say, clone veins or whatever they're supposed to be, and the spikes and everything else. I'm stoked on Kaine. I can't tell you, when they go, oh, we're making Kaine, I'm like, finally. That's one of those when, after all the years and all like, oh man, I wish they would make this. And I mean, it has been since the Maximum Clonage box set from Toy Biz. We haven't gotten a Kaine figure. So well done. Thank you, Marvel Legends team, for making Kaine. I am totally stoked on this guy, and I think he looks absolutely fantastic. Next up, we have another iteration of Agent Venom. They kind of went over it briefly, so this is going to be more in terms of what you see in the comics, and it was kind of a concept prototype figure when they did that old Walgreens exclusive, which makes sense. It's happened many times in the Marvel Legends line. So, and if I'm being honest, I actually really do still like that figure, so I'm totally cool with that. But if you want a more updated one, now you get the Flash Thompson unmasked or unsymbioted head portraits. Overall, fine. I'm not that excited for him because, like I said, it's just kind of like, okay, I already have this figure. I even have an Agent Anti-Venom, right? I guess you would say that. They got to make all the Venom. Everything's a Venom at this point. But comes with a couple guns. He's got extra hands, 2 head portraits. More in terms of recent Marvel Legends articulation and probably pinless and all that kind of jazz. So it's an update. It's a nice update. Looks pretty cool. The head portraits, sure, why not? Agent Venom comes to the Spider-Man retro carded line. But all of that aside, we were talking those figures up, yada, yada, yada. This is the one right here. Finally, Spider-Man, the animated series' Chameleon. The most distinct look for the Chameleon ever. It looks amazing. They did a fantastic job. He's got the belt. He's got that little cross strap. He's got his little shoulder pauldrons. Dude's a maniac in how he dresses, but well done. Now, here's the thing, though, and they did mention this. They didn't put any extra head portraits in. It's a mask of J. Jonah Jameson, which, okay, we'll put that aside, right? So any figure, any character that you have Marvel Legends-wise, pop the head off, put it on the Chameleon, and there you go. Totally get it. But the Chameleon never used masks in the animated series. It was an image capture device from his belt, and then he became part android, and yeah, that was the whole thing. But you can use that J. Jonah Jameson mask with the other suited Chameleon in your collection that you have from years and years ago. So yeah, I'm not too hard up about it. What I'm stoked on is that they gave him the gun, but it's not exactly the gun from the animated series. It's kind of a bummer. I wish they would make that blaster. Please make that blaster. That's a very, like, they couldn't do guns, like guns, quote unquote, in the animated series. Like, there was a couple things where they could get away with it, like with Robbie Robertson's son in that episode, Tombstone. But they always had blasters and sci-fi weapons. Even the cops are running around with like laser things. So make that gun. Make that one for the animated series. Come on. Let's see that coming soon. If you were wondering how to get any of these, so pre-orders will start December 12th. They will be available everywhere. And like I said, when they're available on all my socials across the board, I will have links down in the description below, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, we will get it going. So very cool. Overall, pretty solid wave for the Spider-Man retro carded line. Next up, we are headed to Target for an X-Men exclusive, which looks pretty darn cool. This is the Savage Land Professor Xavier. I am very stoked on this one because it's very X-Men the animated series as well. You could put him with Magneto, have him walking around the Savage Land. For those of you who don't know, in the kind of the backwards way that the Savage Land can work sometimes, so Professor X, as much sense as this makes, Professor X will lose his mental abilities, but then he'll be able to walk. So however that works, and then when he leaves Savage Land, he gets his mental abilities back and he can't walk no more. That's a twisted sword that he's got there, but he looks pretty darn cool overall. Professor X, Savage Land, nice bright orange card. It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. He even has his little Cerebro device with his little thinky hand. But it's really the look, the costume that he's wearing. That's what really draws me to this figure. So this will be coming soon. More info coming soon on when this is available. Probably, we'll say early 2025, something like that. Well, that's not the only exclusive because Walmart needs to get in on the action, and we are going to be getting a Spider-Man 77 figure, of which, yeah, heck yeah, that's pretty darn cool. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, they had an old TV show in the 70s with Spider-Man. It's kind of like the Japanese Spider-Man, and it's kind of bonkers. They have to do their own thing. They got to make it work with that old 70s special effects and technology. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm stoked that they're making this. He's got web effects. He's got a web line, extra hands. He's got all little doodads and the belt. And yes, this is a fun exclusive. It's a fun figure. Definitely looking forward to that. So Target for Professor X, Spider-Man 77 for Walmart. And like I said, all the details coming soon and when you can grab these. I really do like the new Legends boxes that they're doing as well. I like just the overall streamlined look. It's something different. We recently took a look at the final wave of the old boxes, and it was kind of like, oh man, it's sad to see these go, but bring on the future. That's what I'm saying. Oh, also, there is going to be a Amazon exclusive Spider-Man No Way Home Lizard for those of you out there that are chawing at the bits to get one of these. So not to worry, the Lizard, part of the No Way Home villains lineup, and yes, they will be completing those villains in 2025 sometime. They've already confirmed it with this recent stream. So just sit tight. For those of you who are still fans of the MCU, it's coming soon. But that was not all. They go, oh, you know, we'll do our little draft pick thing, and then we're going to have another reveal at the end of the stream. And I thought, oh, they're going to do like one or two, something like that. And it was a full wave. Full friggin' wave of X-Men, and it's a Build-A-Figure wave, and they've already shown off Fabian Cortez, so I'm stoked he's coming. Then, like with the female Electro that they showed off at the CCX Expo, we have the Age of Apocalypse Gambit, so he is coming soon as well. Stoked to be continuing Age of Apocalypse on my shelf. Love that storyline. Gambit's another great character for that very unique look for back in the day. And that's not the only one because we also have AOA Nightcrawler coming as well. This suit, this is one of those where you can tell, okay, it's just a simple repaint. Maybe they added a few things here and there. But yeah, overall, it's just Nightcrawler, different black, gray kind of costume with some white accents. It looks fine. And again, to bring to life on my shelf the Age of Apocalypse, sure, we got to have Nightcrawler in there. This one, however, when I always talk about we got to get new characters, this is going to be great. We have Husk. Husk from Generation X. So we're still continuing that line. That's nice to see. Let's get some more Generation X characters going. They did say there's going to be more X-Men in 2025, so I am looking forward to that. You get 2 head portraits. You get a hunk of flesh. You get flesh tearing off her face. She's one of those where she's kind of like a metal endoskeleton underneath, and you pull off her skin and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's really kind of her power. This photo alone says it all. But again, it's nice to have a new character. And yes, you can reuse bodies because they all, for the most part, the females wore the same costume for Gen X. So stoked. Very cool to get Husk in the line. We're also getting an Extreme X-Men Wolverine. This does nothing for me. I'm over Wolverine figures. To beat a dead horse, as I always talk about with Wolverine figures, I'm so tired of the same head portraits, the same look. They cannot capture Wolverine. I will say with the new Secret Wars, with that head portrait, not the unmasked one. Ugh. That looks good. He's kind of got like a little smirk to him. Wolverine unmasked across the board for Marvel Legends does not look good to me. They've never really kind of grabbed that look just yet. It always looks weird. He looks grandma-ish. There's too many lines, too many wrinkles. One day we'll figure it out. But hey, if you're an Extreme X-Men collector, of which I'm going to have to get this figure anyways because I really want the Build-A-Figure. So there you go. We have the Extreme Wolverine. Then we have the X-Factor Cyclops, which I think he looks good. The yellows, the blues, they really pop. It really brings him to life. But it's really that optic blast. See, this is what I'm talking about with powers and such. They've really brought it this time with these characters, with these figure selections. You are bringing the super powered element to your displays, and that's what's needed. So this more like just full disperse of his optic blast looks amazing. 2 head portraits, couple extra hands. Cyclops looks great. Very stoked on this figure. And then from Marvel vs. Capcom or X-Men Comics, whatever, but we're getting Marrow. And that's another one where we've not gotten a Marvel Legends Marrow in the past, and she looks fantastic. So yes, I will have some more X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Capcom 2 versus Street Fighter, Jada Toys team-up videos coming in the future. I still need to get DJ and Guile and Cammy. They're on their way. But this is fun. This is what I want to see. She's got all the bones protruding. She's got bone weaponry. I'm stoked. This is one of those characters that's a huge standout to me for these reveals. Bring on more Marvel vs. Capcom stuff. Let's see a blue Venom. That's my secret hopes and wishes right there. A blue Venom. One day we will see that. But yes, bravo on Marrow. But the Build-A-Figure, woo, that looks pretty darn solid. And I thought when they were kind of like talking about the Build-A-Figure, I go, I wonder if it's going to be Nemesis, right? Or Holocaust. It's you can't say really one. These, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. They're not going to put that on packaging. So Holocaust/Nemesis coming back from the old, I believe that was Toy Biz days, or it was like the Toy Biz into Hasbro days of that Build-A-Figure. But yes, it looks pretty darn awesome. You have some head rotation, full articulation. You got the big cannon arm. Just a really cool standout. Kind of looks like Ghost Rider, right? When you pop the little helmet off, but rest assured, yeah, you can move that head around and put the dome back on. It's a really interesting Build-A-Figure. It's one of those designs that makes for a really interesting action figure. So overall, yeah, that's pretty darn cool for an X-Men wave, right? So this wave will not be pre-ordering just yet. They will pre-order / be available later in 2025. So probably early 2025 pre-order if they do it. Should be available, we'll say, most places, possibly not in retail stores unless retail is going back to form, which hopefully that'll be the case. But let me tell you something. I have put together the last 2 Build-A-Figures that were online exclusives only. So we had the Mindless one, then we had the Sentry / the Void, that Build-A-Figure wave. Those took me a while. I took advantages of sales. I got the figures I wanted right off the bat. It served me well because a lot of those characters definitely went up in price. They got really expensive. But I'm telling you, don't wait on Marvel Legend Build-A-Figures anymore. I would say grab the characters that you really like, grab the characters that you know are probably going to be fan favorites, and then wait for the other ones. That's what I did, and it worked out. You'll know the ones that are going to be hard to get, right? We all kind of know. In this wave, most likely Marrow, Cyclops, Gambit. The other ones remains to be seen, right? It's kind of like that. But I digress. Don't wait too long anymore because methinks they aren't making that many as they used to. Now, to round out the segment, we had the teases. So you can lay your bets down in the description below on what you think this is. Ryan, Dwight, and Dan all had their own reveals. Was a staff, which I would assume that that is Adam Warlock, so that'll be pretty cool. Dan had some Spider-Man webbing, some kind of webbing, so I would assume some kind of Spider-Man character. See, they're doing more powers. It looks like an actual web thwip, something that would be inserted into the wrist. Hopefully, my God. And then Dwight had his, which kind of looks like something maybe for Danger, even though that was a cool figure back in the day. Maybe it's a throwing playing cards kind of thing. Who knows? It's some kind of blast effect. This is one of those where I'm going to say, perhaps it's not painted. It's just a very, like, don't take it as it's a gray piece of plastic. It's just, hey, that's what we're working on. It'll be in this shape. Who knows? But I digress. This was a fantastic showing. Well done, Marvel Legends team. There are some great ones. There are some good ones. There are some, I don't know about that. But that's part of the fun of collecting. But as always, you've heard my thoughts, and now I'm curious to know yours. So comment below. Let me know. Let's talk everything Marvel Legends. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. As always, drink some great coffee, eat some great food. But most importantly, remember what a year 2024 has been for collecting. And for the Marvel Legends Avenue, it's been no different. It's been fun. It's been ups and downs. And yeah, can't wait to see what 2025 brings. And when we do, let me know what you found. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.